Hello, it's Silje, and today I will do a book talk of this book. It's Pan by Knut Hamsun. It was one of my books from my TBR for this month, and it is a reread for me. I read it when I was a teenager, and I really didn't like it back then, and I was curious and excited to see if I had changed my mind. And I have to say, I still don't like this book, but it was a very interesting read, and I think I managed to appreciate it more. And yeah, I have some thoughts. It won't be a review. I think it will be more like a book talk, and I hope that's okay. So I will talk a little bit about what this book is about, a little bit about the author, and talk about some of the aspects of the book that I liked and that I found problematic. I read a Norwegian edition. This is a Norwegian book, but it has been translated, so I will leave the information about the translated book and the translator in the down bar. So yeah, I won't be holding this book up all the way through, by the way. But this is the book. This is Pan. Knut Hamsun was a Norwegian author, and he was active from the 1880s to 1949, and he died in the 1950s. As a young author, he was very critical to the naturalistic and the realistic genre, and they were trying to show how the world was and be as thorough as possible in the descriptions. And he argued that the main focus should be on the intricacies of the human mind instead. And so he was one of the leaders of the neo-romantic era in the Norwegian literature. Because of that, he also won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1920. Pan is his third novel. It was written in 1894, and it's a novel or a novella. I'm not sure. It's like 150 pages. So it's a very short novel. It's written in the first person, and the narrator is Lieutenant Glan, the main character. The story takes place during a spring, summer, and autumn in the north coast of Norway, and Lieutenant Glan, the main character, is renting a cabin in the woods, and he is living as a hunter, and he's walking around in the woods, talking with his dog, and being a man of nature. But then he starts to interact with the people in the nearby village, and he meets 3 women, Edvarda, Eva, and Henriette, along with Edvarda's father, Mr. Mack, and the doctor. And things start to happen. The main story is in the summertime, and in Norway, or in the north of Norway, we have the midnight sun, and the sun never goes down. It's very bright. It's sun all night long, almost. And Hamsun is using this to create a very flirtatious and sensual atmosphere. And some say it's a love story, and some say it's an ode to the Norwegian nature and the north coast. And yeah, and I can really see the ode to nature, as nature plays a very big part in this book. There are a lot of themes in this novel, and one of the biggest one, in my opinion, and in many others' opinions as well, is the nature versus culture. And Glan is, as I said, a nature man, and he feels very secure and safe and conscious when he is in the nature. And But when he is interacting with other people, he gets very socially awkward, and you can really feel his uncomfort. You can see the change in narrative when he is in the nature and when he is with other people. Hamsun is using the language to show Glan's inner life, I think, and his feelings and emotions. When he's in the nature, the language is very rich, it's vivid, it's almost dreamlike, and the imagery is very good, and the prose is lyrical, I think. And as a reader, you feel you are part of this nature experience, almost like an religious experience. And I think that ties very well with the title of the book, Pan, because Pan is the Greek god of nature. And Glan is some sort of a Pan-like figure. He might even be like Pan in human form. And the notion of the god is in nature, the pantheism, is a very big part of this book. I think Hamsun does a really good job with all this atmospheric and beautiful way to describe the nature. It's like you are influenced by nature, and Glan is influenced by nature. And because Hamsun also is a neo-romantic, this nature experience is also a way to show Glan's inner life, his mind. And I think that's done in a very splendid way. At the same time, when Glan is in the culture, when he is in the village and meeting people, he is behaving very strange. And the narrative is changing. The sentences are much shorter. It's much more dialogue, and that's normal because he is talking to people. As in the nature part, he has a lot of inner monologues that are very long, and here he has a very strange and awkward way to talk to other people. And you can also see that his actions change, and I think everything is just showing his uncomfort and it's showing his uncomfort being around people. It's like he feels like a lesser human in some sort of way. For example, he doesn't like to be looked at, but at the same time he gets really mad if they are ignoring him and then they're not paying him the attention he thinks he deserves. And he does a lot of really strange things. And you can really see that he is just put in a situation that he just can't handle. He's like this nature god that's just meeting people and he doesn't know how to behave. And he uses, in the meeting with the civilization, he's using his hunting gun almost like a phallus symbol, and he's showing it off to everyone to show his own masculinity. And I see why he is using it to some extent, and it works well, but it just gets too much of it. He is using it in every situation, and at some point it just gets ridiculous. He also has an incident where he uses his hunting gun as a to hinder someone else to meet a woman he thinks he loves, and it's just silly to read about. That scene reminded me a lot of a cockfight or a measuring contest, and yeah, so I think this hunting gun as a phallus symbol was used way too often in this novel, to be honest. It stopped being an effective use of symbolism. It just got comical. Another aspect with this novel that I think ties well with the theme of nature versus culture is the way Glan is treating women and his viewpoint on love, basically. And as I said in the beginning, Glan has encounters with 3 different women during this novel. It's Edvarda, the daughter of the rich owner of the cabin Glan is renting. There is Eva, the young woman that Glan thinks is the daughter of the smith, and it's Henriette, the young shepherdess. And I will mainly talk about Edvarda because the relationship between Glan and Edvarda is the main relationship, and also the most interesting in my opinion. But I will also talk a little bit about the other 2 because his actions and behavior towards these women are very different. Edvarda is the virgin, or at least Glan thinks she is. And I think because he sees her as this pure and innocent woman, he puts her on a pedestal. But Edvarda is a very modern woman in the 1850s, and she refuses to follow the rules of society. She is very proactive. She follows her own way, and she is interested in Glan, and she shows it. She goes to him, she talks to him, and she hits on him. And this makes Glan feel really uncomfortable, and it puts him off. And his behavior towards Edvarda is kind of not very nice, to say the least. When she is coming to him and is engaging with what he's saying and is showing some interests, he is put off, and he's like convincing himself that she is ugly and she is stupid, and he doesn't want to have her around. At the same time, when she is ignoring him, he gets really mad because then she isn't giving him the attention he thinks he deserves. And when she does that, he starts to react very childish. In one scene, he takes her shoes and throws them in the water. And shoes can be a symbol of libido. And he is literally drowning her shoes or drowning her sexuality. And why is he doing that, you might ask? And I asked myself why he was doing that. On one side, he is refusing to give her sexual pleasure. It's like he is taking a revenge on her for ignoring him, but at the same time, it can also be a reaction because he wants her to remain pure, in his opinion. Maybe it's both. Because I think that Glan has sexual feelings for her, but at the same time, he really wants her to remain on this pedestal he has created for her, and she obviously won't stay there. For him, she is this imaginary creature, this Fata Morgana, this out of this world woman. She is not real. And every time she comes down from this pedestal, he just freaks out because he wants her to be there. He wants her to be this pure and not real woman. He won't see her as human, and he is in love with the dream of her, the dream of love, not her. I have said it several times, Hamsun is neo-romantic, and the nature is showing us the mind of Glan. And in one scene, he is walking around in the woods, and he is in comfort there. He likes it there, and he is clearly aroused, and he's thinking about Edvarda. And we see that because it's suddenly a lot of big white flowers appears. They open up, and these moths are going into the flower, and the flowers are shivering with joy. And this is clearly very Freudian, I think. As a reader, you really feel the love and attraction he has towards Edvarda, but when Edvarda comes and makes a move, he just freaks out. He says the night is over, the flowers are closing, the moment is over. And the fact that she is making the move, taking the lead, really freaks him out and destroys everything for him, and making him not attracted to her anymore. Yeah. And also Glan is a hunter. He likes to hunt, and I think that he needs the women, or he thinks that the women should be his prey, and Edvarda is refusing to conform to this ideal, and therefore he rejects her. He can't be with her in a physical, human way. At the same time, he has affairs with both Eva and Henriette. He is not putting them on a pedestal at all, and he doesn't feel threatened by them, and therefore he can have this physical relationship that he can't have with Edvarda for some reason. And why is that? I think there's two reasons for that. The first is that they are not virgins, and so he is not consider them as this out of this world creatures, and he doesn't feel threatened by them because he is the leader in the relationship, and they are more like the prey. So yeah, I don't think that's okay, but that's how Glan works, I think. Guess who forgot to film the conclusion? So yeah, I'll do it now. This was a reread for me, and I think I appreciated it more this time around. I still don't like Lan, and I am still not capable of looking past the way he's treating the Edvarda and the other women in this book. But at the same time, I really like the writing style. I like the way Hamsun is using the language and the symbolism and the nature to really dwell into the human mind. And it's like a very fascinating psychological experience where he just takes a person and puts him into a situation and just lets it play out. And so it's a very interesting book on the psychological aspect. And as I said, I don't like Lan at all. I don't think that's the purpose of this book. You are not meant to like Lan, but this is Hamsun trying to tell a story about a heavily flawed and complicated person, and I think he does that very, very well. So yeah, I think I ended up liking this book more than I thought I would. I'm still not very fond of it, but it has made me want to read more Hamsun, and I think that's awesome. It was very fun to read it and try to dissect it and look at every aspect of it. I do hope you enjoyed this very long and very rambly video, and if you want to read Pan, please let me know. Have you read something else by Hamsun and liked it or disliked it? Tell me in the comments below, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Ha det!